Hello, 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 and we're on part three of Get Back, the Beatles documentary directed by Peter Jackson. Should I say more edited by Peter Jackson? There's not real much direction involved, as he basically assembled by Peter Jackson. It's the final part. It's a short one, just over 2 hours, and it chronicles the very last 7 days of the Beatles recording their Let It Be album, rooftop concert, whatever you want to call it. We know how it's going to end. So yeah. I mean, it moved on a little bit quicker. Still an awful lot of dragging. It opens with the most delightful scene, and again, it shows you just how. And you get a lot of this throughout the documentary, how supportive each member of the band is to each other. But in this case, it's Ringo working out one of my favourites, Octopus's Garden, which is one of my favourite Beatles songs. And he's working it out, and George comes up to him and goes, "Oh, and they start working on the structure of it, and George working out the chords on the guitar. And he's talking about, you need to repeat this bit, and so then it resolves itself. And Ringo's taking this on board. He goes, "Oh, I'm going to have to write some more words." And they're running through it. And then George Martin sidles into shot and starts doing harmonies, And then John Lennon walks in and he says, "I'll play some drums," and starts banging away on the drum kit. And it was just those little bits I think are marvellous. And there's a lot of this where they're just supporting each other and giving each other, and they're always so receptive. They're always so receptive to each other's ideas, which is there's I guess there's always ego. There's always going to be some ego in the bands, but I like the way how they do play off each other and listen. They do listen to each other. They're not dismissive of each other's ideas. Very supportive as a band, and I can't understand why. Because again, to me, it looks like a very healthy working relationship at that stage, even though they go on to record. I mean, this is the thing, they do this, then they go on to record Abbey Road. Because we know that Abbey Road is the last Beatles album, isn't it? Right? Let It Be is the penultimate Beatles album. Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. So yeah, it's great. It's a good run. Again, it's more of them just exploring and getting things down, and then it's time, to go up onto the roof. I think it's delayed. No, there's a delay, but then they've got to get all this gear on the roof, and they're worried about the roof collapsing and everything. And the bit that they're working towards on the roof is just joyful. And I think that itself, well, I'm going to talk more about my ideas, but that bit itself is brilliant, because it shows you, one, just how bloody tight they were as a band. They could play anywhere, even on a freezing cold roof in January. My hands are cold. Can't hold any chords down. It's just amazing to watch. But then what's even more amazing to watch is the people, the little people in the streets below. And this is, I think it's Savile Row that this is taking part. And you see people from all walks of life just stopping. And they ask, "Do you know who this is?" And it's the Beatles. It's obvious. They can't see them, but they can hear them. Oh, that's Paul McCartney. There's this old fellow who goes, "They're great. I love them. What great chaps, And he is just the voice. And there's this myth. And there's this modern myth that people in the 60s, old people in the 60s, didn't like the Beatles. And it's bullshit. Beatles were universally loved by every man, woman, child, colour, creed, religion. Everybody loved the Beatles. Yeah, there are a few naysayers on the street, but out of all the people there, they are rare. And it just goes to show what a universal band and universal music the Beatles created. And that's really heartening. And to, again, see them play. They run a few songs, and there's a lot of repetition. But the interesting thing, Plod turns up. The police turn up, because there's been a few complaints. A lot of complaints, 30 complaints in a few minutes. Yeah, because this is Savile Row. This is hoity-toity. This is the heart of the establishment. So doing anything that's a little bit deviant from the norm is going to cause a reaction, even though it's the swinging 60s, though you can't really see much swinging going on. That's not a surprise, but they turn up. And the police are just brilliant to watch, because you get the sense that, well, they've got to do their job. First, they don't realise what the noise is, and then they get inside Apple HQ, and then they it's the Beatles, and you get the feeling it's like, Johnson, arrest them. No, sir, I cannot arrest the Beatles, sir. You get the feeling that they are hesitant, because if they were determined, they would have gone straight up on that roof and they would have stopped the concert. But there's a lot of hesitancy, there's a lot of reluctance. It takes them a long time to get up on that roof, and when they do get there, they stand and watch. It's priceless when Paul McCartney, because I get the feeling that George can see them, because the way he's standing, he can see who's coming in. And I got a feeling that Paul turns to George, who then indicates to Paul, and then Paul turns around and sees the police, and the look on his face, he beams. It's like, yeah, this is what I want. And he's playing. But he missed a trick when he's doing Get Back. He just should have said, "Get back, Bobby, get back." That's what he should have sung, And then Ringo turns around, and I think John's the last one to see them. And it's like, and they're all kind of looking at each other. They're just playing on, and their road manager turns off some of the amps, and George Harrison turns it back on again. But they don't do anything. The police don't stop them, because you can't, because you're stopping the Beatles. And there's some discussion in the studio afterwards. I think it's, I don't know if it's George says, well, we could make it look like that they're trying to stop us. We could edit it so it looks like it's more dramatic than it is. It's just, I just thought it was great, and it's very much England. That's who we are. We've got to uphold the laws, and then the law gets and goes, I can't stop boys. They're too damn good. It's just. But yeah, and that was the end, and that was the end of the Beatles. But it wasn't, because they go on to do Abbey Road, and that's a story for another time, children. Yeah, as a documentary. It both succeeds and fails. It falls between two stools. For absolute die-hard Beatles fans, it's brilliant. But everyone else, no, it's too much. It's far too much. And there is an awful lot of unnecessary stuff in here. And they could edit this down to a good, like I say, maybe a good 4-hour or 3-hour documentary in 2 parts. And I think how I would have done it is I would have kind of worked backwards. That rooftop concert would have got the majority of the time, because I think that's the important thing. And again, I think culturally and socially, musically, that's the important bit, because they're the first band to do this. The last time that they played live together, and it's that's the starting point. I'm not saying still do it in chronological order, but that's what you're heading towards, right? And then you kind of build the film around that moment, so we don't dwell on, this, that, and the other, and we kind of refine it down to that is the beating heart of it, and I'd have just structured it. Wouldn't even bother with the Twickenham footage, the bit with George leaving, because I think in the grand scheme of things, you watch it, it's not important. It's irrelevant. It's someone not happy playing in that bloody aircraft hangar, Because when you see George playing at the Abbey Road Apple Studios, he's a lot more comfortable. They're all more comfortable. They all just change. They're all transformed. Except Paul McCartney, who's just Paul McCartney, because he's like, that's what he is, and Ringo, those two are the kind of the constant points, whereas John and George are, I think a little bit more, I wouldn't say fragile, but they weren't enjoying that Twickenham thing. So I'd just get rid of that. I don't think it's important to the story at all. I think them being at Apple and working towards the roof, that's where you reframe it that way. If I was directing, but I'm not, because I'm not Peter Jackson. I'm a nobody talking to you losers on YouTube, because we're sad. That's the fact of it. Whereas, Peter Jackson, he directed some films about hobbits, and he gets to do this. It was lazy because, again, creatively, it's lazy because he just lays this stuff out. It's not. Again, you get a lot of this now because they can do it. Because streaming services allow you to just vomit this stuff out. And the real skill is editing and creating a story. And the story is going up on the roof. It's not George leaving and coming back again. That's not the story. It's them going up on the roof, and you build it from that. And the success, the triumph. Yeah, I know you've got to have the, that thing in the story of, they've got a peril or an obstacle to overcome, but it ain't a film. It's real life. It's that just creates a false narrative, because I don't think it's that important to them doing what they end up doing. But that's just me reading it. That's just the way I read it, because that they do this and they do Abbey Road. So that's just my way of looking at it. I think great if you're an obsessive and you love this kind of stuff, and I do, but for everyone else, it's a hard slog, isn't it? It's a bit of a hard slog, and I don't blame you if you do nod out or don't make it to the end. Just watch the last one. Just watch part 3, because that is, they do it in 2 hours. You get the gist of what's going on, and the band's together. Billy Preston's there. There's some fun moments. Just watch the third part. I don't think parts 1 and 2 are that important. If we're talking about in the context of the Roof concert, because that's the key to everything. That is the heart of the film. Anyway, thanks for watching. I don't want to overdo it, because I could end up talking about this all day and turn it into a 6-hour marathon like Peter Jackson. So we'll end it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed these videos. If you've enjoyed, get back. If you haven't, if you've not enjoyed it, I'm sorry. You don't have to watch. I'm sure there are reviewers out there that are much better than me, in your opinion. I know I'm brilliant. I have to be conceited, otherwise there would be no videos, would there? That's the whole point of being a creative, to be a creative. And you watch this in the Beatles videos. There's a certain level of conceit and arrogance, creative arrogance, that gets you to point A to point B. Otherwise, if we were always unsure of ourselves, you get nothing done. And that's the beauty of the documentary. You see people who are confident with their own abilities, And I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. There's only one more thing left to say by now. You should know what that is, and that is ta-ra!